Hi guys, I just wanted to share a recent thrift transformation in which I made. I recently purchased a saver's dress of a vintage evening gown, which I assumed previously was a bridal gown. Essentially what I did was I transformed the dress into two tops. Without further ado, I will show you how I made transformation. The first step of the transformation is deconstructing the garments and all the pattern pieces which make it up. First, I start off with the sleeves and the armhole. So, starting with the sleeves, I am detaching the seams of the sleeves to the top at the armhole and just unpicking at all the seams and pulling them apart. After I detach the sleeves from the top, I now move on to the waistband of the dress. So starting with the right hand side of the dress, I just unpick and pull it apart, and vice versa on the right hand side. Now I'm moving on to the lining of the dress. So this is the inside part of the dress where I am now deconstructing all the seams and the pattern pieces which compose the dress, starting from the top through to the waistband, through to the bottom skirt, and now the zip. So the zip is pretty easy to unpick. It's just the same process of unpicking and pulling it apart. Now that we've detached all the pattern pieces and the zip, I am now detaching the sleeves of both sides and formulating that to create the front and back of the skirt. Now going to construct the back panel of the waistband to now create the side panel to the new skirt. And so what this does is that it accurately measures my waist. Using the bottom part of the skirt, I am now creating a whole new pattern piece using this skirt, in which I am able to use to create the design feature of the new top. So creating this new pattern piece, I'm creating a gathering effect on it, doing repetitive folds, and so this is what it looks like. And essentially I want to drape it on the stand so that I can see what it looks like and visually have a direction in which I want to go in. And so next I am going to sew at where the pleats have been created, and then I will sew the side panels, which was originally the waistband. And so these are the new side seams in which are on the skirt. Left and right panels created from the waistband, I am now going to sew across at a 1 centimeter seam allowance, and finally I will sew the zip to the side panel. Next step is attaching the new pattern piece in which we had just created before, attaching it at center part of the side panel and then branching out to pinning to the front and back of the skirt. Repeating this process of pinning, I will do this on the left and right hand side of the skirt. Draping on the mannequin helps me visualize how it will appear to be. Draping it, I have now made the decision to turn the skirt into a top. Next, I am going to create a clean finishing using double folded binding at all the raw edges, folding in at a 0.5 centimeter seam allowance. I will sew on top of the binding, and this will essentially get rid of all the raw edges to create a clean finishing. Using white binding is suitable for this as the fabric is a pearly color. So attaching the binding at the hem, the side panel, the waist, the armhole, I am finished. Next, I'm moving on to top number 2. So using the bottom part of the skirt, I'm going to create a panel which will be attached to the top of the dress. Using the measurements of the top, I will create a gathering effect of the new flounce panel, which was originally from the bottom of the skirt, to essentially match up perfectly to the top. The gathering effect helps the long elongated pattern piece to fit neatly in with the top. Putting pins in place, I will sew across the flounce pattern piece and the top, using the pins as a guideline. This will ensure that the seam allowance at 1 centimeter is done neat and matched accordingly. I will then overlock at the raw edge, and then moving on to do a clean finishing of a double folded 0.5 seam allowance at the bottom of the top. And so we're just folding in twice at 0.5 centimeter and then sewing on top. Because I've ran out of white binding, I am now using silver binding across the bottom of the hem and folding in again. I'm using binding at the raw edges and folding in at 0.5 centimeter. Next, I'm using the binding technique again for a clean finishing at the raw edges of the armhole. Doing this both on the left and right hand side of the armhole. I am then moving on to doing the same process of binding at the open edges of the center front of the top. Folding in at 0.5 again and sewing across the binding for a clean finish. Next, I'm going to hand sew hook and eyes to the center front of the top. And that's the end of the transformation process.